So today I am literally going to show you guys how to make, how to get to earning 100 billion or more. And that is not a clickbait, that is a real thing. Alright. Also, don't worry about trying to copy any of my things in here. I'm just stocking things for no reason. I have a tab over here that is just stacks of items. I've got 10 million of these polypore spores. I'm just getting 10 million of everything. So if you own anything in here that is large quantity and you want to sell them to me, I will pay you what they're worth and you can add them to my collection. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump into it. Oh, I also, too, for those that like old school RuneScape, I also have a collection thing on old school, too. So, one of the biggest questions I get in RuneScape is, how do you get hundreds of billions? I think everybody wants to get 100 billions in RuneScape, I think. There's not very many people that don't. This is my main account. There's about 250 billion on this account. It shows 211.7, but that's because the rares and everything, they're not, accurate value right now, so there's about 250 bill on this account. I don't use this account to flip. As you can see, I'm just buying stuff. My other accounts I use for flipping. But anyway, the goal of most people who want to, earn money in RuneScape is to get hundreds of billions. You want to get party hats, you want to get all your skills 200 million, you want to get all these different things, you want to get a dyed everything. So I'm going to walk you guys through a few different techniques today, and some of them you may already know, some of them might be newer, but it is a culmination of all these things that will help you to reach that amount. And we're going to get pretty advanced here today. It's not going to stay basic today, so if you are new to flipping, then I will probably end up showing you. I'm gonna try to start with some of the most basic things, but we're mostly going to be doing advanced things. I'm actually gonna go ahead and clear these out because I'm gonna use these slots. So let's just clear them out. Okay. So I will start with some basic things, and then we're gonna move into more advanced things as we go. Something I want to mention right off the bat too. I want to mention two quick things. Three quick things. I guess the first number one is if you miss anything, or you're entering in this stream and you think you might have missed something, or you have to go to bed like Nox or whatever, this will be on YouTube too, so you guys can watch this later. You can also feel free to ask me any questions in the comments down below. You can ask any questions in the Discord server as well. I am probably one of the rare ducklings in RuneScape that for me, getting lots of money in the game is not really about, oh man, I just have to have lots of money in the game. It's just because I think it's fun. Ever since I started playing RuneScape, I've always thought that earning money in the game was really fun. The economy of it, it's got the best economy of any game out there. It's the closest thing to a real world economy, that kind of thing. So I've always really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed doing money making for those reasons. I don't do it because I'm showing off or anything like that. I don't care at all, actually. And that's another reason why I want to be able to help other people do it, because it's really fun to see people hit their goals of their first billion or their first party hat or whatever. So that is the goal here today, is to help you guys kind of walk you through. So if you have questions, then feel free to fire them away, and please fire them away, and I'll answer them as we go. There is no bad questions, so if you're like, oh, I think this is a dumb question, there is no dumb question. I fully understand, and I think everybody else in the stream and they'll be watching these videos later will understand that no matter where you are, we've all been there at one point, so just go ahead and ask. But like I mentioned too, the Discord server, if you're not part of it, is a good idea to join that. And then we have a free help tickets that you can join. A help ticket, you can open one, and you can ask anything you want to. And to kind of finally go along with that is, if you are currently flipping or currently making progress towards your goals, and you want advice on how to improve or whatever, just put as much detailed information as you can into the help ticket. Obviously, I'm not talking about your personal information, just your information regarding hey, I'm flipping 3 hours a day and I'm doing these items or whatever. Put that kind of stuff in there, because we're going to ask you those questions anyway. We can't help you to improve on what you're doing unless we know what you're doing. And none of us care to steal your items or anything like that. So even if you have your top secret flip item, I don't care. I'll probably say something like, "Hey, awesome, that's a good choice," or whatever. But that's really about it. So that's to go along with that. The next thing to go along with here is, and I will definitely answer to Hugo and Cobra's answer, and also to Briz. I will answer all three of your guys' questions in 1 second. Let me just get these prereqs out here real quick. The next thing is I'm going to show you guys, like I said, some pretty advanced things. We're going to start very basic, and then we're going to get very advanced. So two things with that. If we get to a point where you're like, oh, I can't do that. It's very important to remember that it's a journey, it's a progress, and you're making progress towards the goal. So if I show you something that you're like, oh, I just can't, I can't do that, I'm not there yet, then just take notes or something and remember that you will get there. Obviously, you wouldn't be watching a video of how to make over 100 bill if you already knew how to do that. Or maybe you would and you just want to learn how I do it. But anyway, the idea is... Oh, is the music a bit loud? Yeah, let me turn the music down a little bit. Okay, so I've said like a couple things so far. Like I said, if I get to something where you're like, oh man, I can't do that, or I don't know how to do that, don't let that stop you, because the only way you are going to get to where I'm going to be showing you is if you learn how to do what I'm going to be showing you. I hope that makes sense. Like, you know, you don't know how to ride a bike until you ride a bike, okay? Let me answer a couple quick questions, then we're going to get into me actually showing you this. I'm going to try to keep this, try to keep the answer to the question pretty quick, though. Is it comparable to OSRS or item specific to RS3? The strategy to make this much money on RS3 is different than OSRS, because OSRSs and RS3s, both of their like flipping strategies are very different. The way the items move and everything, it's very different. So you can definitely apply this concept, like these concepts I'm going to show you, can definitely apply them to OSRS, quite a few of them, but they're not going to be the exact same. What's going on? Bonds, summertime, everyone's playing. People don't have real money right now for a lot of people, so they buy bonds. So everyone coming in from summer vacation is going to play RuneScape, and that's why bonds go up. And then bonds are also continuing to go up because Jagex increased the price. Gold party hats are going up. I told you they were going to go up. Bacane says, FPS says, Flip for Billions was really good, helpful guide for OSRS. Awesome, dude, awesome. I'm definitely making more OSRS stuff really soon too. Let's see. So, okay. So there, answer the quick questions. Like I said though, feel free to fire any questions you have, and I will sure answer them. Okay, let me jump into it. Here. All right, I got this one last question, then we're gonna jump into it because he just now posted. Hey, this may be the topic of the stream, but when will you continue the OSRS series? Which series? Would you love to see you questing and playing the game in general, making more frequent OSRS videos too? But anyway, keep up the great work you do. Thank you. I can definitely tell you that I will be doing more OSRS content. I do have plans to do a lot more OSRS content. Right now, I'm trying to get caught up with our content for the RS3 side, trying to get that like finally caught up. My IRL work is definitely keeping me busy, but I want to get that fully caught up. And then 100% going to be doing more OSRS. I'm also going to be doing Brighter Shores. So if you guys are planning on playing Brighter Shores, that will be on the channel as well. Okay, let's get into it though. So I'm going to start off with, like I said, some very basic things. I'm not running through everything basic, but a couple basic things, and then we're going to build on that. I'm going to show you guys literally the most bulletproof strategies to be able to increase your wealth up to literally making over 100 billion. This is what it looks like. So let me explain. And I'm going to tell you some stuff that there are definitely people who do not want me to tell you some of the things I'm going to tell you. But as you could probably tell with my channel so far, I don't really care. So we're going to go into it. So let me explain really quickly how to do a flip. So this is going to be very brief because this is something you can find a million places on my channel. But if you are like, I have no idea how to flip, let me show you the very, very brief thing. You can continue learning how to do this in the Discord server too. There's different resources in the flipping school and everything on how to do it. But here we go. Let's do a Nox Scythe. Oh, that is not how you spell Nox Scythe. Noxious Scythe. Oh, and I just turned my DPI to 800. That's not going to work. Okay, so we've got Nox Scythe. I'm going to go ahead and instant buy one. This right here is called an instant buy, instant sell price check. I do 389,998. And then I'm going to take this Nox Scythe and I'm going to just instantly sell it. And then we got 363. So we lost a massive amount of money there. It's like 20 million. I lost like 20 million doing that. Wow, that's pretty wild. We lost 20 million. Well, now what I'm gonna do really quickly too is I'm gonna go ahead and go price. I'm gonna go post this into my Discord server, into the prices chat, just to make sure they have a very recent price for Nox Scythe. And that's awesome. That's a 20 million margin on Nox Scythe. Not bad. Okay, so that right there is how you do a basic instant buy, instant sell price check. Now, what you would normally want to do if you were trying to make as much money as possible is a couple things. If you're flipping on only one account, then you would probably want to buy this. So you'd instant buy it. You'd come up with this number right here. And then this number right here is something that you would find on your own by using the average margin of a Nox Scythe. So right now we know that they've been anywhere from like 10 to 20 million for the margins. So I'd probably start off at like 20 million below, and then I'd end up being right here, somewhere right around here. A link to Discord you can find in the description down below, whether you are on Twitch or you are on YouTube. And so Nox Scythe, I would end up just buying these for probably like 370, 371 or something like that. And I ended up finding this without doing an instant sell. And if I do find it without doing an instant sell, then as you know, I would have not lost 27 million gold. Like I just lost 27 million gold doing this price check. So you can avoid losing that much money by just selling this one back at this price and then buying the next one lower. So that is what you would do ideally if you were only working with one account. If you're working with multiple accounts, like let's say you were flipping with 4 accounts at once, then doing an instant buy and then an instant sell can definitely speed up your progress of finding multiple prices, because we have a buy limit, so we can buy 2 of them every 4 hours. 2 every 4 hours. That means that over the course of 4 accounts, I can do 8 of them. So if I lose money on one, I'm going to make the money back on the next 7, and I'll end up making profit on 6 of them, if that makes sense, right? So 120 million minus the tax is how much I would make on just Nox Scythes if I was flipping with 4 different accounts. And let me just make sure, how high do you think sold eyes will go? Well, they currently just dipped hard, as my last video was talking about the people manipulating them. And yeah, they're rebounding a bit, but the thing is though, is they'll probably end up going right back down again, because Jagex already said they're going to be released, and we recently had them release that Necro promo too. So is it going to be a rediff of your stream because I'm not at home, internet is laggy? Yes, this stream will be on YouTube, so you can feel free to watch this later too. I definitely appreciate you being here, even though it's laggy though. So right now we've just learned 2 of the techniques of how we can price check a Nox Scythe, okay? And if you want a text version of that, I've already written that out in Flipping School in the Discord server. Just look at Flipping School, look at price checking. It shows you a bunch of different ways to price check with literally like some animations and everything, so that it's pretty hard to get confused. So that's in there. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Like I said, we're not going to stay on the basic stuff too long. That is how you do a couple different price checks. That's also how it will vary whether you have 1 account or 4 accounts or whatever. Obviously, if I'm running with 4 accounts, that's 32 slots. I don't want to be sitting here waiting for stuff to resell and everything for 32 items. So doing an instant buy, instant sell makes more sense if you're using multiple accounts. If you're only using 1 account though, I would definitely buy it here, resell it here, and then use the known average margin of the item to be able to figure out what your next buy is going to be. If you don't know what the average margin of items are, we have all of that items. We have every single items in the spreadsheet I created that took hundreds of hours to make. So that is all there in the spreadsheet in the Discord server. If you are in the free tiers, there's a free one, and then if you are in the Patreon tiers, there are Patreon ones too. Everything is covered between those. So here's the next thing too, and this is something you need to know in order to be able to use the more advanced things I'm going to get to in this stream. So that's the reason why I'm kind of working through these things. If I just jump straight into the deep end, you guys are going to get completely lost and it's not going to help you. So the next thing, let's say I am buying this Nox Scythe and I'm selling it. I'm trying to sell it for like 390 and it's not selling. It's been sitting there for 25 minutes, 35 minutes, an hour. It's not selling. What do? Do I just wait? So what you need to do is you need to update items by their average update time and their average update amount, which is once again on the spreadsheet in the Discord server, but you don't have to use my spreadsheets if you don't want to. You can just learn this over trial and error. Remember that the main point of my Discord server is to teach you how to do stuff. It's also to make these things a lot easier, but you can do this on your own. All you need to do, simply, is just flip a bunch of Nox scythes. If you flip a ton of Nox scythes, you will eventually learn what the average amount of money you make per scythe is and how long you should wait and what you should update them by. Like, you can do all that testing on your own and you can make the spreadsheet on your own. It's just going to take you hundreds of hours like it did me. So but that is very important though. You can't let stuff sit for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours if it's not supposed to sit there for that long. Nox scythe should not be sitting there for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. Now, if it's like a third age piece, those might sit there for that long. Okay, so now we've covered how to price check. We've covered updating and wait times. Like I said before, if you need to like learn more about that, ask the Discord server or use our resources in there, because I want to keep moving so we can get to the bigger stuff. Okay. Now let's move on to overnight flipping, or like, the concept of putting your offers in and then leaving them for a long time. You don't have, it's not necessarily overnight. Sometimes it's because you went to the gym or you went to the grocery store, or you went to work or whatever, you went to life. That is what overnight means. Just means that a long time. So what I would do is I would probably choose an item that is going to be something that is very solid and safe for overnight flips, which is once again in our spreadsheets, but there is a bunch of items that are good for overnights and a bunch of items that are not that great for overnights. Let's look at something that is good for overnights. Let's look at Dragon Rider Lance. So now Dragon Rider Lance, I'm going to put in a fake price for this because I don't want them all to buy, because I don't want to sit here and sell them all. But let's say that the buy price was 20 million. We've done our price checks. We've found out they're 20 million. Now what I'm going to do is let's see, how long am I going to be away from the PC? Let's say I'm going to be away from the PC for a total of 10 hours. So let's just say roughly 6 buy limits. Okay, so it's like 8 hours for four of them, and it's 12 hours for 6 of them, but you got to remember the first 2 are going to come in like right away basically, so let's put 6. And then I'm going to put this offer in there right there, and then I'm going to leave that. Okay, now I'm going to do that same thing for 8 slots. If you're trying to figure out, oh, how do I know what to buy them for? So you can go back to the price checking things I just said. You can just price check some things and then figure it out. If I was to Instabuy and sell a Dragon Lance right now, that means I could still buy 5 more of them while I'm away. That's still quite a bit of profit you can earn. You could also just put in buy offers for things you've already been flipping that day, because you will know what the prices are. And if best case scenario, you're part of our Patreon stuff in the Discord server, then we have tons of stuff priced, so you can just use the prices there and then throw in buy orders and then log out. But anyway, any of those strategies work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up every single slot, all 8 slots, and then I'm going to log out and I'm going to go to work. Now, if I did that for 4 different accounts, right? Then whatever amount I was thinking I was going to make on one account, you basically are going to multiply that times 4. It's obviously going to vary depending on, what items you're flipping, because obviously if different accounts are flipping different profit items, then the number is not quite just going to be times 4. Like, you get the idea. I'm just being straight basic here. So let's see really quickly how much we could expect to earn from just one account doing overnights. And that's how we're going to slowly be able to build towards the idea of being able to hit the 100 billion. This is where we're going to start with that. So we're kind of like the tip of the iceberg here. So 20 mil. Let's say that I'm going to be buying 8 slots. Let's say that each item in those slots earns me 3 million. I'm just going to use a random number. Or let's use 5, because the Nox Scythe alone was earning it was like a 20 mil flip minus taxes, like example. Let's just use 5 mil. So 5 mil here, that means 30 million here. That means that in all 8 of our slots, we've got 30 times 8. So we got 240 million that we're potentially going to be earning from our one account. That means that every single night in an ideal world, you're going to be earning 240 million by just doing your overnights. Now that number is going to vary. Obviously it's going to vary. Some nights, some things aren't going to buy. Some nights, everything's going to buy. Some nights the prices are going to change. It's not a perfect world. So what you need to do is each day basically just kind of adjust it. Be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this item because when I bought them all, they dropped in price. Okay, well that's a great thing to keep in mind, and maybe that means look for different items. We only have 8 slots on each account, and there's a ton of items in RuneScape. So if you're like, oh, I think I need to switch items, switch items. Also, something I've personally found to be extremely good to do, and this is something I will very commonly myself do, is pick items that are very uncommon. So like items that you really don't ever see anybody talking about. Here's a great item that I made a ton of money off of. Explosive barrel. So explosive barrel is something that I used to make quite a bit of money off of these. And the reason why is because there's a 5 buy limit. They're very rarely traded, but no one really does these. So if you found really good, really good prices for your explosive barrels, you got 5 buy limits. So, before we were doing that times 3, so let's just do that times 3. So that's 15 of these that I'm able to buy overnight. Now, with how few of these explosive barrels are traded, am I going to get 15 every night? Maybe not. Maybe I am. Who knows? But the thing is, though, is if I discovered that I'm making 10 million profit per flip on explosive barrels because people always sell them for 30 and then I'm able to sell them for 50, that kind of thing, then this ends up being a really good item that will outpace a lot of other things that you're doing. Something else you could do is like, Molten Barricade, for example. This is something that a lot of people are also not flipping. A lot of people don't flip ability scrolls actually for the less expensive things. You'll see people doing the really popular ones or really expensive ones. They don't do these like less popular ones like this. So get creative and test a bunch of things. Okay, so if I'm only doing 1 account per night for a straight month, that's 240 million times 30. That's 7.2 billion is my potential profit. So another thing is to, kind of like I mentioned before, when you're like, if you're one of those people that are like, I can't do that yet. Well, I might already be there. I might, for some of you, because everyone's different, I might already be at the point where I can't do that. Because I can't spend 120 million or 200 million in every single slot. I don't have 2 billion gold or whatever. If you don't, then just quite simply either buy less items or buy less expensive items. You can definitely just like choose different items, right? They don't have to be Dragon Rider Lances. They don't have to be 10 million. You can do Armadillo Boots. Armadillo Boots actually have a great margin a lot of times, and you can easily buy these for, sometimes they'll buy under. You might be able to buy them for 3 million. I'm pretty sure you could probably afford to do like a 4 limit of this. It's like that's like 16 mil. The point is you're just going to build onto it and keep increasing the things you can do. If you're in the position of Armadillo, where you're like, I need to buy cheaper items, then it's probably a good idea to use 1 account, okay? So 1 account is where you're at in that beginning. You're slowly working until you can fully fill up 8 slots of more expensive, more profitable things. Once you get to the point where you're like, oh, I've got enough money or I've got enough really good items that I really wish I could do this more than just these 8 slots, that is when you make a 2nd account. So now we've moved on to having 2 accounts. If I'm making 240 million per night on 2 accounts for an entire month, the potential, remember potential because it's not a perfect world, 14.4 billion per month is how much you could make if you were just a master of overnight. Not realistic though, because it's never going to be that way. But if your potential is 14.4 billion, then maybe you're pulling in roughly half of that and you're doing 8 billion. That's realistic. Like things working half of the time is pretty realistic. And I want to keep this realistic because this, like I said, this is not clickbait. I'm going to literally show you guys how to get to these numbers over 100 billion. So now we're making 8 billion a month doing half successful things on only overnights on 2 accounts, and we're not buying anything too crazy expensive. And so, as you can already see, if we only did this forever and we never improved and we never even did active flipping, we never invested into anything, 8 billion times 12 is 96 billion. So I've already shown you something that can equal up to 100 billion in 1 year. But let's keep improving on that because, like I said, we're at the basic point. So let's keep on improving that. Let me answer a couple questions here too. I just put random offers sometimes without price check and sometimes work. Yeah, it can sometimes work. And you know what? Maybe you're at that like half success point, like I was just mentioning, or you're at the 1/3 success point. As you can see, that already like equivalates to some pretty high numbers. So you can start there and just improve as you go, and you're already going to be able to hit like pretty crazy numbers if you're consistent. So it's about consistency too. Anonymous says the Patreon is significantly better than using the Discord. Well, the Patreon is in the Discord, and yeah, it's definitely significantly better than using the free stuff. Like I try to heavily reward the people that are supporting the channel and everything. So yeah, it's really good. You can ask people in there and you can look at the reviews. People have a lot of success with it. Okay. So let's build on this though. Let's build on this. So we're looking at half success rate has got us to 8 billion a month. What if we had 4 accounts? Okay. Like obviously if I was able to make 8 bill, or let's say only 25% of my overnight stuff worked and I made 4 billion. So 4 billion, I'm probably easily able to afford 2 accounts worth of gold now. 2 months later, or a month after that, I mean, you're at 4 accounts. So you've got 4 accounts. Now you've taken your even 25% success rate of 4 billion. Now you're looking at an 8 billion again. You're back up to 8 billion again. So with using 4 accounts, starting out with not too much money and having only a 25% success rate on your stuff you're trying to make offers on, you can be up to 8 billion per month. Like, I hope that's sinking in. For a lot of the people that are like, how do I get these numbers? There you go. And that is like, and don't worry, I'm going to continue building here. I have a lot of stuff to show you, and this is by far not the end of it. But 25% of our offers succeed, and I just showed you how to hit 8 billion a month. Let's continue on though. Let's say that after, we're just making progress, okay? And that 240 million, we're like, that's pretty good, but I want to make more than 240 million per night, okay? And also remember, this is not doing any daily flips. Most of the people who do daily active flips in our Discord server, I can tell you from the averages, because I can see what they do. They post in the reviews what they do. Most of them are making anywhere from 100 to 500 million a day doing active flipping. I'm not even including any of that in there. And the main reason why I'm not including that in there is because that will greatly vary depending on how much time you have to play. Doing overnights, it doesn't really matter how much time you have to play. You just log in, put the prices in, and log out. That is what I personally do. For my personal wealth increasing, I do big investments and I do overnight kind of flipping and batch flipping. Now, I'm going to show you batch flipping here in a second too. But let's say we did the Nox scythe, okay? I keep on typing just Nox and not noxious. So let's say we're doing like let's say we're doing like Nox scythes. Now, if we did something like Nox scythes and not something like Dragon Rider lances, our nightly profit would very, very greatly increase. So obviously, though, you can see this requires 2.2 billion in order to be able to do a 6 buy limit. And also, too, items like Nox scythe have a higher risk. So like I mentioned before, there are items that are really safe for doing overnights, like Dragon Rider lances or God Wars. Yes, this is live triggered. What's going on, my dude? This is a higher risk and also a higher cost. It's not high risk because Nox scythes don't change that much, but it is higher risk than doing something super safe like a Dragon Rider Lance or whatever. You can even go to a actually high risk if you want to, and we can kind of build on that. But so far we're at like a medium high risk. Let's go with medium risk. But this is going to make us way more and more money. So if we were making 240 million every night by doing stuff like Dragon Rider Lances, or like maybe slightly better than Dragon Rider Lances, pretty realistic, we'd be at like 400 million a night by doing 8 slots of stuff like Nox scythes. Now that number is going to fluctuate quite a bit though, because like I said, it's a little bit higher risk. You got to expect a couple losses here and there. You got to expect some things not to buy here and there. But if we're at 25% success rate and making 8 billion per month using our 4 accounts that we built up to before, then now we've bumped up that profit because we're taking that money that we're earning and we're putting it back into our accounts to be able to flip with. That is something extremely important that you guys have to remember. If you want to be able to reach the point of, I have 100 billion or I have 200 billion or whatever, you can't be blowing all of your money. If you blow all of your money, you're going to make less money. That's just how it is. As you can see from this stream so far, as we're building onto things, if we were to go backwards, then we're just going to make way less. So if you're like, oh, I've made 20 bill now because like doing this technique really works. I've made like 20 bill, or let's say 30 bill. I made 30 bill, man. Oh, but this is great. I'm gonna go buy a black Santa hat. Well, now all of your money is gone. So if you were able to make 8 billion per month, 10 billion per month, or let's say you just really suck at it and you're learning, because it's real life, right? Let's just say you really suck at it. And you're making 3 billion. You know, you're not even making the 25%. Like 10% of your stuff is working and you're making 3 billion a month. If you blow all of your money on a black Santa or something like that, or like dies or whatever, you can kiss that 3 billion a month gone. Goodbye, it's gone. Or the 8 billion is gone. Or maybe if you're really good at flipping and you were making 15 a month, it's gone. So is that rare worth having 15? Would you rather have the rare or an extra 15 bill a month that you could then buy another one of those rares after 2 months? Yeah, you got to think about that. So if you want to reach those big numbers, the triple digits, then you can't blow your money. I did not spend hardly any of my money on my account until I was over 200 billion. Just to give you realistic, when I restarted RuneScape about 10 years ago, I did not buy anything basically until I was over 200 billion because of this concept right here. This is the only way you're going to get to this crazy high numbers without cheating in the game like real world trading or whatever. If you want to do it legitimately, you need to be able to save your money. So let's continue on though. Let's continue on. We're gonna build on this a little bit more. So now we've got our 4 accounts that are just, they're raking it in on the overnight, the passive money. Now you're like, ooh, you know what? Logging into these accounts every single day is kind of annoying. You know, it is easy, but it kind of sucks having to do this like twice a day logging in or 3 times a day logging in. Like, you know, I wish I could just make money without doing that. Well, congratulations for joining the stream. There is a way to do that, and this is how I do it. So what I do is a technique that I call batch flipping. Now, batch flipping is like taking overnight flipping and then doing it to the extreme. And this is a great way to make a lot of money, but I would highly recommend that when you get to the point of doing batch flipping, which is kind of at or just before the point I was just explaining a minute ago in the video, you need to like choose items that are very safe. Like you do not want things that are going to be going up and down wild price all over the place every single day, because it's not going to work. Or if it does work, very high risk. So just keep that in mind. If you decide to be like, screw you, Manatee, I'm going to buy risky shit, just remember that you could lose a lot of money. Now, Dragon Rider Lance, great example again because it doesn't change much and it has a great demand. It's been 30 million-ish for like a very long time. If you guys, also too, I'm not going to sit here and give you a bunch of examples, but if you guys want some more examples, then watch one of the most recent videos I made that was flipping with graphs. So if you watch that one, that is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, the stuff that just doesn't change hardly ever, right? So that is the stuff we need right now. We need the stuff that doesn't really change. Because now what we're going to do is this. Let's say I'm going to take one of my alts that I've made and I am going to only log into it every 2 days. Okay? Sounds kind of crazy, but it works. And let me explain how it works. So if there is every 4 hours, you can buy 2 of these. That means that for a 24-hour period, we have six 4-hour periods in there, which means 12 a day. So if I'm going to buy 12 every single day, and then I'm going to log into it every 2 days, and that means we need 24. Or if I want to do 26 because I think they'll buy right now or whatever, this is roughly what you need to put in for a 2-day buy. Now, I am a strong believer in going pretty extreme with this, so I will often do things like a 3-day buy or whatever. I really like to not log into my accounts because I have several accounts. I really like to not log into them for quite a while. So you can do that by doing something like this. I'm going to put a buy offer for 36 Dragon Rider Lances, and then I'm going to boop, boom. Now that offer is set. I finish doing my 8 slots and then I log out. Okay. Now, when I log back in 2 or 3 days, and I mean, oftentimes, I'll be honest, oftentimes I do log back in like a little bit early because I'm like, I want to see how it's going. You know, maybe make some adjustments if I need to. But let's say you didn't log back in for 3 days. And in an ideal world, you've now bought all of the buy limits of all 8 of these items. Let's say that each item, let's go off a low number because I like to be as realistic as possible and as beginner friendly as possible and not give you guys anything that even remotely smells like a fake number or like a inflated number. No clickbait whatsoever. Let's do a really low number, okay? Because the cool thing is these strategies work so well that it even works with really low numbers. So if we got 36 items I'm buying here, let's say I'm only making 3 million per item, which is very realistic. If you can ask anybody who uses the Patreon, most things make at least 3 million. So let's say we've got all these items in here. We've got 8 slots times 36 items. Let's be super realistic, and they all have a 2 buy limit. We don't even have any of those juicy 5 or 10 buy limits. It's all 2 buy limits. That's 288 items that we have bought, which means that at 3 million profit each, you're looking at 864 million that you could potentially make from this one account of not logging into it for 3 days. So there are a total of 10 of those 3 days per month, naturally. And then there we go, off of one account, you can make 8,640 million. And that is by going by super low buy limit things, only 3 million profit. And, you know, let's cut that in half. Let's say that you only bought half the items because, like I said, super realistic, right? 4,320 million. That's it. Like off of one account, you've made that. If you have 4 accounts, or if you're like me, so let's see, what accounts do I not log into ever? I'd say a solid 5 of the accounts I'm just never logging into. So let's say 5 accounts. 21,600 million. That is roughly what I can earn from this strategy. I make anywhere from 10 to 30 billion per month, just depending on how much I'm actually paying attention or logging in or whatever. So that's right along that. So 21.6 billion. If you did that for an entire year, you'd be at 260 billion gold. So that is a pretty great example. Give me 1 second. Or my wife messaging me, or I got a message and my wife was yelling at me. Nope, we're safe. So that right there is an example of just doing items like that. Now, obviously, if you can't afford to do like this much money per slot, which I get it, you know, you could very easily be spending 10 billion on one account. On some of my accounts, there's like 20 or 30 billion on worth of 8 offers that I log out with. So if you don't have that much money, I totally understand that. Just once again, do smaller items. Do like Armadillo. You know, if you buy, and Armadillo has a 1 buy limit. So if you bought 18 Armadillo, let's do Armadillo crossbow. And you bought 18 of these. That's 68.7 million per slot. So 68.7 per slot times 8. That's only 550 million. You shouldn't even really be trying this strategy unless you have a definitely over 550 million. So you'd be at one of the earlier strategies I mentioned in the video. So only 550 and you can lock up an account. You'll probably make 1 million per item. So let's see, 18 times 8 is 144 items, which is 144 million if we're making 1 million each. Do that times 10, 1,440 million times a year. 17.3 billion is how much you make from one account, even just doing really low items like Armadillo. So you'd be at 17 billion. Let's see. Joined BFC recently, and that passive income getting it from it is wild. Awesome, dude. That's what I like to hear. That's why I did. I bought a lot of items to progress my account. Had to work my money back to flip. Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. The thing I recommend for people who are like, oh, but I really want to buy gear to go boss with. If you're going to be bossing like a lot, then sure, buy some gear, but don't buy gear that you're not going to be able to like financially replace pretty quickly, because you're just going to make less money on your flipping and investing if you do that. And it sucks, but that's just how it is. That's the reason why I literally didn't buy anything until I had a ridiculous amount of money, because I'm like, all this money is making more money. Like I don't want to slow down. But you need a time to sell it all. No, yes, you do need time to sell it. 3 days to buy and 1 day to sell all or something like that? No. So if I have 36 Dragon Rider Lances, these could all be gone in 1 hour. Like if you're selling them for the right price, they could all be gone in 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours or whatever. And then the whole count is cleaned. So it only takes a short amount of time to be able to sell it all off. Buying everything, on the other hand, takes longer, which is why it takes, yes, like Jorgen said, it takes a long time to buy all the items. It does. And that's why I'm saying that this right here is a 3-day strategy. This right here is the strategy. It's called batch flipping. This is the strategy you use when you don't want to log in for like 3 days. Like, you don't want to be sitting there looking at prices every 10 seconds or price checking or whatever. You just want to put your money in, log out. If you want your money to make money without you doing literally anything, this is how you do that. Think about it as like interest in a bank account or stocks. Like, this is as close as you get to stocks. Like, okay, obviously don't use this 20 million. That's not the real price for Dragon Rider Lance. But I don't want them to buy. That's why I did this. But if I sink this much money in Dragon Rider Lances, I sell them for more, and I've got 36 of them, I'm going to make a really good amount of money on that. So it does take a long time for them to buy because I can only buy 2 every 4 hours at maximum. But you can sell infinite of them. So reselling the items doesn't take anywhere near as long as buying them. Okay. So I've already shown you a few things that literally will, quite literally, make you up to 100 billion or more. I even used like the lowest possible success rates. We did 10%, 25% success rates. I'm not making this stream and saying stuff like, if you do everything perfect, you'll make this much. Like, I'm not even saying that. So that should tell you that you can definitely do this. But like I said before, let's do like a really quick retake on some things. That way, just in case I lost anybody or any brand new people, because we have like 85 people in here, and we started out like 30. So in the beginning, you want to do like money-making methods, like the money-making methods I post on the channel. They're great to do. Do bossing, do skilling, whatever. Make some money. Do flips that are like active flipping with whatever you can afford. And then at nighttime, put in your overnight buy offers. In the morning, wake up and sell them, make some money. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat until you can eventually do an 8-slot overnight buy. And at the point where you're like, oh, I've got extra money, I could be making more money, make another account. Now you've got the second account. Rinse and repeat the exact same things I just said until we get up to like 4 accounts. For those of you that don't want 4 accounts, by the way, that's fine. Just keep building up on the 2 accounts. Or if you don't want 2 accounts, build up on the 1 account. I can tell you that these strategies are going to be extremely hard to really capitalize on if you only have 1 account. So for those of you that were like, die hard, I only want 1 account, don't even really think about it as like an account, right? If I have an alt that I'm only logging into every 3 days because it's buying massive amounts of items, I'm not even logging into that account. It's like a separate bank account, basically. So I'm not saying you have to sit there and chop trees on 12 accounts. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that having extra GE slots, that's really what you're doing, is you're making another account for more GE slots. That's all it is. So I'm just saying that, you know, like I said before, if on that the really low profit example of making 17 billion in a year on that 1 account doing super low items, and I don't recommend you stay there forever, by the way. I really hope you do not make 17 billion in a year, because that means you could have made a lot more if you stuck with those items. Yeah, so it's just if you only had the 1 account, that's 17. That's all you're getting. If you had the 4 accounts, now it's 68. You get it? So that is the reason why you want to have multiple accounts. Okay. Let's get into the stuff that people may or may not want me to talk about on a stream. And I don't even doubt I'm going to get some negative feedback for some of these things I'm going to say. But I'm going to tell you guys the things of how the really rich people get really rich. Now, obviously, the title of the video was how to make 100 billion. I've already covered that several times. Let's see. Stolen Time says, just got here what I'm talking about. Honestly, just watch the YouTube video again. because I just covered all of the basic stuff, like the basic hardcore easy to execute strategy. We already covered it. So I'd have to repeat a million things, but just watch the video. That's the glorious thing about it being on the recording. So let's get into some of the things that, you know, I might get some negative for. So the next thing, if you guys remember here in the chat, if you're like a super fan, just super fan, if you're a fangirl, put in the chat if you watched my video that was the post-Christmas best things to buy. And then yes, like Leonard is saying right now, please ask the questions you have, but you don't consider the losses you can get if you only have, let's say, 30% win rate. So when I say like a 30%, 25%, 10%, I'm talking about that is how many items bought. So if I've only bought 25% of them, if I've only bought 10% of them or whatever, your loss is going to be pretty minimal. Like I did mention several times though, that you do have to consider losses, which is the reason why I mentioned that in that ideal world of 14.4 billion, if you remember me saying that, I was like, you can make 14.4 billion in a month. Now, if you did 14.4 billion in a month, that's like ideal perfect world, right? So I cut that right in half and we said 8 bill. Well, roughly in half. We said 8 bill. And then I was like, what if you didn't even do that and you made 4? So you're going to be somewhere in that range, right? You're going to be like somewhere in that range. So yes, your potential losses are going to cut into your potential profits. Now, I can't sit here and tell you exactly what those are going to be because I have no idea what they're going to be. But if I'm saying you're only able to make 4 billion out of a potential 14.4, then I'd say you have quite a bit of wiggle room for any losses you may have made. And you have 70% of trades that were potentially GP on. Well, no, because if you're doing that poorly, then you're not even buying that many items. So it's not something that's going to happen. Either that person did not understand overnight flipping, or it would never happen. It's one of those two. And that's also why I mentioned too, as we moved along, is I was like, master each one of these things as you go. Don't day one be like, Manatee told me to do batch flipping and buy 300 items and lose your ass on it. Please don't do that. Please do the order that I mentioned. There's a reason for the order. Stolen time, yes. The dyes. The dyes were the really good things. The purple Santas were in there. The Aurora outfit pieces were in there. Some things have not moved too much. The dyes were bangers. The dyes made ridiculous money. You went like 4 times your money on the Auroras and 5 times your money on the souls. Okay. So that kind of stuff is what you need to be looking out for once you do get to a very large amount of wealth. So if you've climbed the ladder of the strategies I just mentioned, and you have, you're making a lot of money, you need to be putting that money that you have left over that's not being used into those investments. Like if you look into my account right here, remember, I don't flip on this account. There's 250 billion. Like I said, these are not accurate because I have rares, a lot of them on here. So 250 billion on this account. I don't flip on this account, but you damn right know that I invest on this account. So there's 121 golden party hats on here. This is just a couple purple Santa hats. The rest of them are on like other accounts. And then there's like blue on this one. I've got some more blues that I invest into. You need to be investing into some high-ish risk investments. I can guarantee you that if I have put it on the channel, it was about as low risk as it gets as far as investments goes. Because I've been there where I was like, guys, this is a great investment, and then it didn't do very well, and people were like, what the fuck, Manatee? So if I'm mentioning an investment on the channel, you can damn better bet it's a really good one. And I will also mention these kinds of things in the Discord server too. I'll mention like, hey, I'm investing into these. I am in no way, shape, or form trying to pump up the price of an item. So if you ever think that's going on, it's not. And I don't recommend you just buying and buying and buying and buying, hoping the price is going to go up like that, because it's not. There's never going to be any pump and dumps. I'm just talking about the natural progression and flow of items. And that's the reason why the stuff that I usually talk about is stuff they go up because of the natural progression of the game. We don't do any pump and dump crap, and you shouldn't either, because it's a waste of your time, and the potential losses are way too high to waste you spend a lot of time working on making this money. Don't blow it because you try to do some get rich quick scheme. There's no point in a get rich quick scheme when you can make such solid money, right? Solid money. That's what we're here for. So the dies and stuff like that, you need to be on the lookout for items like that you can invest into, because that will make it so the money you're not using on the super solid growth that I just spent an hour telling you about, the extra money needs to go somewhere where it can earn you more money. And if you're not investing in those things that have the potential to go 4 times like an Aurora die or 5 times like a Soul die, then you're not really going to be able to hit the big numbers until several years down the road, which is also fine because you will eventually be at 1 trillion or whatever. Like, you'll get there if you follow this kind of stuff. So I guess it's not required, but if you want to hit 1 trillion in half the amount of time or less, then I definitely recommend investing into the things, that will help you get there.